So let's recap here. We have described the process of brainstorming a big bunch of simple, raw ideas. In order to do that, we need to dig deep into our mental storage room. We need to reach beyond our immediate thinking patterns, and we've learned 4 techniques to help us do that. Getting silly, switching tools or even mediums, associative search by looking around or googling around for input, and finally, brainstorming in group sessions. So what happens next? Actually, since this process of successively breaking patterns can go on practically forever, how do we even know when to stop brainstorming? Well, the answer is a bit tricky because it requires some experience. That is, you'll have to do it a few times to get the feel for it. The thing is, when you reach critical mass in number of ideas, so you have enough ideas, stuff is going to start happening with these ideas. They'll start to react to each other. Some ideas are going to feel kind of central because other ideas align themselves around them. An idea that seemed completely silly suddenly connects with some other silly thought to create a really interesting solution. The first time you'll experience this happening to you, you'll see exactly how useful a stupid idea can be. For me, this is actually the best part of the entire creative process. It's like playing Lego. Remember Lego? Remember how we used to sit around in a pile of Lego parts and try to fit them together to see what comes up? That's exactly what this is like. And that's fun. Again, I should stress that this should not be happening inside your skull. You need to keep creating captures, only now they become a little more elaborate. A good tip would be to switch between dry and wet capturing. Dry captures are left brain logical capture, wet captures are right brain emotional captures, and this is all thoroughly explained in Go Capture. Also, the Red Riding Hood example contains a very detailed brainstorming process where you can really see this happen very clearly. Here are 3 examples for this process from 3 different areas of creativity. And actually I stole this part from my 4 Creative Breakthroughs course. Here's one example. This is from the design process of an Android mobile game called Cryptica by my friend Aviv Schechter. This is just one page out of many, but you can already see here how he doesn't try to go straight to it. See what I mean? He just throws ideas out there, doodles them really fast. Most of them don't go anywhere, but some start to connect with others and start making some sense. If you look at it carefully, you can really see how some of the stuff evolves, and I've also placed art from the final game so that you can see how it ended up in the final game. So you see, this guy doesn't go, okay, I'll just sit here in front of my blank screen until I get the best idea ever. He respects the process. So he pours out some raw material and he lets a great idea emerge out of these bits and pieces of half-baked ideas. Or let's take another example from my own animation on Asterix and the Vikings. And I just poured all these poses all over the place. And again, this is just one page out of several, and I also acted some of the stuff out. And then I kind of, out of all these half-baked poses and ideas, I kind of narrowed it down to a few choices that I liked. And it's exactly the same process. Or let's say with writing. This is from a story exercise. And again, I just poured out many different ideas and started playing around with them until a concept emerged. Remember to be playful with this stage. Don't bother yourself too much with practical stuff and don't force ideas to match. You really need to play the role of a kid playing Lego and just idly trying to fit stuff together without real purpose, without real intention. Very often your raw material is going to shape itself into several competing ideas. What I mean is a few equally good ideas that can't really be used together. That's okay. Actually, it's better that way. It's a good result. You don't have to choose right now, so just concentrate on playing with these different options and see where they get you. Also remember that you're still in the dreamer's role, so you shouldn't allow yourself to get serious and start solving problems and developing these ideas too much. The dreamer is all about playing around and seeing what's possible. He's not about elaborating or solving deep, difficult problems. So ideally you now have 3 or 4 really exciting concepts, and the next step is to choose which one of these you're going to go with. Sounds simple, but there is actually a challenge here, because at this point your judgment is not very objective, you see? You really don't want to plunge ahead and then halfway through the work realize that you've gone with the wrong option. I can't tell you how many times I've learned this in my own work and the hard way, and believe me, you don't want to be there. If you have time, the best thing to do is to leave it alone for a bit. Give your brain some time to detach itself emotionally and to see it more objectively. Another way of getting some objectivity at least is to show the options to someone whose judgment you trust. Of course, if you're working for a client or if you have a supervisor of some kind, showing them the options is not just a great way of getting feedback, but also a great way to get them on board and to give them a sense of ownership because they chose it or you chose it together with them. I do it all the time and it never fails to create trust and transparency and really open discussions. I really can't recommend this enough. Whichever way you do it, after you've decided on your final concept, there's one more thing you need to do, and that is to make sure you have a really great capture of your concept. Now when I say a great capture, I mean something very specific. I mean something that encapsulates the vital essence of your idea. Aim to capture your concept fast, when you can still see it clearly. Just focus on the vital essence of your idea. Also, don't try to solve anything. Leave that to the explorer. Your dreamer ends his job with an X on the map. This is where we're going, this is the concept, bon voyage. Let the explorer and the maker deal with the details. So this concludes the main section of Go Dream. In the next section, I'll highlight a few common pitfalls artists often fall into when they dream their ideas. Hopefully you'll be able to recognize these pitfalls and avoid them, or at least recognize them quickly when they appear and solve the problem. But before we go there, let's just do a quick summary of what we've been discussing so far. Your first step as the dreamer is to brainstorm raw materials, which is the process of coming up with plenty of bits and pieces of ideas and capturing them. These ideas don't have to be good, you just need plenty of them. That's why the process involves repeatedly breaking your thinking patterns in order to open up new thinking corridors, and we've covered several techniques to do that. As soon as there's enough material, the next step kicks in, which is to play around with your raw materials in order to form and capture some workable concepts. Finally, you need to choose your final concept and capture the emotional core of it, which is usually the thing that makes it appealing or worth doing in the first place. I'd like to remind you that these videos are only going to stay online as long as we're talking about concept. As soon as we move on to the next element, which is vision, those videos are going to go offline. And the reason I'm doing this is because I would like this to be a semi-live experience in which we go through this together. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like it and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And I'll see you next time.